Hi, how are you today? My name is Shannon. Welcome to my channel. This is Whiskey and Wool. You are watching my Knitter's Life series, season 4. I should have looked up the episode before, but I believe it's episode 9. Welcome to my little corner of YouTube. I am going to give you an update on my latest projects, and thank you so much for watching my new series, Cast On With Me, where I take a deep dive into my newest cast on and walk you through some of the choices that I've made along the way, trying to figure out what is the best thing to do to, I don't know, best, but like for me, best fit for me, for my tastes and my, my new whips. So today you're gonna see a few updates. I have an FO and I have some whips to share with you, and I have a fail to share with you too. And I have a little spinning, so let's jump into it. I finished Sunshine on My Shoulders. This is a sweater by Jayne. Sorry, it's not completely on screen, but there you go. It's very warm here in northern New Jersey, where I work and live and craft. I live right across the Hudson River from New York City. I was in the city quite a lot last week. I might have a couple clips at the end. My son was visiting with his wife and my granddaughter. So you might see a little bit of her running around. But anyway, it's a little warm here, and I am not feeling, I have the air conditioner on, I'm not feeling wearing a sweater. So you get to see it on Martha instead. So yeah, Sunshine on My Shoulders. Finally finished. What can I tell you about the pattern? It is Intarsia in the round. It is 8 colors. Each one you need, it's DK weight, knit on size 6 needles. Each color you need about, I'd say around 200 yards to like one full skein, one full DK weight skein. Actually, it's more than 200 yards. It's probably more like 220, 240, except for the yellow or whatever color you used for the sun. It is around 50 yards or so. The pattern is written so that for my size, I think I knit a size 4. It said I needed 2 skeins of this color, and I didn't. I have more than a full skein left of this dark pink. I didn't really do any modifications, except I think I might have, like this might be a mod. I think you're meant to knit all the way up in the dark pink, only you're not meant to make the armhole as deep as I did. So that might be one of the reasons why I didn't use as much dark pink. But even so, like if I was just knitting another inch or 2 with that dark pink, I would have had enough. I used up every bit of the orange, this orange color. And sorry, I'm getting like kind of a glare from the light, natural light. Yeah, so I had about 215 yards or so of the orange, and it wasn't enough. I don't know if you can tell, but when I was striping the sleeves, I'm just gonna hold it like this so it blocks that glare. This stripe is about 3 rows less than all the other stripes. They were all the other mod I did, I made each stripe, I made the exact same width, so they're all aside from this one, which is knit on, your rib knit on smaller needles, it's the same width. But these other stripes are all 22 rows, and 22 rows all the way up the back as well. The pattern has you knit a wide stripe and a narrow stripe, wide stripe, narrow, and I think it might have something to do with this, like when you're doing this part here. So intarsia in the round, if you're not sure how to do that, it's not that hard. You do have to add, for this type of design, you do have to add, it is like you're knitting 3 colors at a certain point, and so you have a ball of this color and a ball on either side, and then the yellow is the only one that has just 1 ball. Every other color has 2. And then you're like basically knitting across and then coming back and knitting around and then going back around the other way. So you're knitting and purling in order to knit intarsia in the round. And then once I got up here, I could go, well, I was knitting flat by then because I was above the armhole. But I wasn't doing intarsia anymore. Well, I was doing intarsia, but this color just had 1. And I had 2 on either side, I think, if I remember right. Anyway, it's not that hard. And I did have a couple spots where when I turned, I didn't tug the yarn tight enough. So there were a couple holes that I just went back, and on the underside, I just stitched together using the yellow, because they were all right around the sun, and it worked just fine. It came out just fine. I mean, it's a little messy on this side because this is where I was turning around and I was sort of trying to figure out the best way to do that, and then I learned how to do it, and I didn't want to rip it back too, but I think it's fine. I think it looks fine. Like here you get some nice even steps, and over there they're a little messy, but not too bad. And part of it is just I need to just pull out the yellow, make the yellow stitch be in front instead of being behind the rust over there, and just emphasize that stitch instead. But generally, I'm gonna push her back. She's not crowding me. It was a fun knit. I really enjoyed it. DK, so it went pretty good, pretty fast. I usually knit fingering weight, although I am moving into, I've been knitting DK. I don't know why. It's kind of weird. I mostly knit fingering weight. But I also made I knit a bigger size than the pattern called for. The pattern calls for 0 ease, and I wanted lots of positive ease. You can see Martha, the mannequin, is my size, so you can see I got a lot of positive ease, and I actually cast on the ribbing for size 3, thinking I was going to make size 3, and then I kind of had a little moment of second guessing myself, and then when I moved into the bigger needle size in stockinette, I increased up to the size 4. Like I think I added up, I don't know how many stitches, maybe 20 or so stitches evenly around in the rib to just give me that. So that actually gave me even more of a like sweatshirty feel because the waist is coming in. So that's like an old school thing that we did all the time in the 80s when we were making sweaters. Like there was always this increase round in your first row going, you would increase your needle size and increase your stitches to get that cinched in waist, which you see a lot in sweaters, and if you look at old photos from the 80s and probably even before that. I didn't knit before that, so I'm not sure what patterns I did before that. But otherwise, yeah, there's some really nice detail. Like I love this. I hope you can see it. This like row of stitches that frames the neck, and then there's something similar on the armhole, frames that. I wasn't particular about making sure all the yarns were the same brand and the same type. They were all just DK, so there are various makers. The yellow is from Qing Fibre. I'm actually using it. I bought a sweater's quantity and I'm making a sweater out of it. This palest blue robin's egg is actually called robin's egg from Kimdyesyarn, and it's a Polwarth silk blend. This is superwash wool. These two are from our Symfonie, same maker, superwash. The rust is Corrie worsted, which is a non-superwash from Bien Aimee. This was actually a fingering weight I held double, and it's a very dense yarn, so in hindsight it maybe wasn't the best choice, but it's just a little dab. I mean, it's a little stiff, a little bit less draped than some of the others. And then these two are superwash from Haynes, at Haynes House. One is called Pink Terri and the other one's called We Listen. I think this is Pink Terri and this is We Listen, but I may have those backwards. I'm not sure. I think this is We Listen though. So yeah, this fingering weight is from Olann Mills when she had a mill working where she was making her own yarn. I don't know what she's up to these days, but I know she's not selling yarn. She'll be back, I think. That's in some capacity. Yeah, so I'm just wearing like a lightweight linen t-shirt, which is my go-to clothing for really hot, humid days, which we've had some very hot, humid days the last few days. So anyway, that is Sunshine on My Shoulders. I'm going to move on to whips. I'm going to show you the one that I think I just showed you the rib last time. It is the Traveler by Andrea Mowry. And I'm using that Qing fiber yellow, dashing DK is what she calls it. So I have made quite a bit of progress. Moving along. The fabric, this is interesting. I've never seen a designer notate something like this on a pattern. She said that you will get anywhere from 15 to 20% growth because of the stitch, so it'll actually be like this. So she recommends you land in the middle and just pretend that there will be 17% growth in your knit. So and then figure out how long to make the body as you go based on that number. So I did that, and I think if you have listened to Andrea Mowry at all on her own YouTube channel, she self-identifies as a short-waisted person, so she generally doesn't make her sweaters as long as I like anyway. So they're always a little shorter. So she recommended for her in the pattern, she says to knit 7 inches of the side and then you're going to get some growth. I'm going to knit 10 inches and I think I'm probably around 7 or so inches right now. I figured out that I need 18 of these garter bumps. These reverse stockinette bumps actually is what they are. So I've just marked number 10 so I could just easily count. So that's what that is. It's just telling me that's garter reverse stockinette bump number 10. The funny thing is when I swatched the fabric, I didn't pay attention to what was right side or wrong side. And on this side there's 2 rows of reverse stockinette and on this side there's 3, and I thought this was the right side. If I'd paid attention, I probably would have made this the right side. I actually like that. I like the way it looked on this side better, but I'm being true to the pattern and in the way I'm doing it at the moment. It's a very easy to follow pattern. Oh, and there was this cute detail where you do like slip stitches on the side, so you get like this faux seam up the side, which I really, really like. I do not know if I'm going to have enough yarn to do a hoodie. I may end up be making this. I may be making this a crew neck. I have half-heartedly looked around to see if I can find more of this yarn from Qing, and I didn't find any in any D-stashes. I didn't find any in any stores. I mean, I would have just rolled the dice on the color and just done alternating skeins. All the skeins I have appear to me to be the same color, so I'm not alternating skeins at all as I knit. And this is the last bit of the second skein, although I did use a bit of the first skein here. So I think I'll be alright. I have 3 more skeins and I have about 4 inches more to knit of the body, and then I'll split for the sleeves. I think I'll be okay definitely for a crew neck. I just don't know if I'll have enough for a hoodie, but we'll see what happens. So that is the Traveler. This has turned out to be my on-the-go knit. Tomorrow I'm going to see a replaying of the Peter Jackson Fellowship of the Rings, which it's the extended cut, which I think means it's like a 3-hour plus movie, and this will definitely be coming with me, so I could knit for those few hours, because it's very, very easy to follow, very easy pattern to follow. So it's been really fun to work on, and I think 5 inches of those reverse stockinette bumps are going to take me longer than 3 hours, so I should be fine with that. But yeah, it's been a very enjoyable knit. That yarn is so soft and squishy. I just really love it. It's just, yeah, so soft. I knew when I was making this, I was like, oh, I can't wait to do that sweater because it's just gonna be so fun. Should I talk about my other whip or my fail? I'm going to talk about my fail because you're going to wonder what's going on with this. So my fail is the Traveler Cowl by Andrea Mowry. I'm going to frog it. I was thinking about it this morning. I have not done any more of it, but it's, it's the same reverse stockinette stitch, which you really can't see in this yarn at all. But that's not why I'm going to frog it. I'm going to frog it because I think this is just too rough. This yarn is just too rough for a next to neck and face garment. Like, it'd be fine as a sweater or a vest where you're going to layer it over undergarments. But if you're going to have it right on your neck, I just don't think it's going to work. So I kind of lost interest. I really haven't worked on this at all since the last time I showed it to you. So I'm just going to frog it. I'm going to look for something else maybe to make the cowls with, if I in fact even do it. So instead of, very shortly, that Traveler sweater is going to be too big for me to haul around much. So I'm going to probably just cast on some socks to be my travel out of the house knit. While I sort of chew on what other yarns I have that might make a good cowl. I mean, the good thing is that cowl pattern is a single skein, like usually around I guess 350 to 450 yards. So with a single skein of, or two DK weight skeins of handspun, I could make one. So that's cool, positive. I love that. So I just have to go through and figure it out. Although now Tour de Fleece is coming up and I'll be spinning more. So there is that. There is that factor. All right. I have a new cast on to show you. I cast on, if you watch Cast On with me, you know what this is. This is the Jethro by Tanis LaValle. I said her name wrong last time. It's LaValle. And it is not done yet. So I've got 24 granny squares here. I need 36 to make the size 3. And yeah, it's been so fun. It's kind of addictive, although I do reach a point where I'm like, okay, enough of those. I'm not going to show them all to you, but I'll show you the highlights. I did make a couple changes from the colors that I had. I like this one quite a lot. The colors I had chosen in Cast On With Me. I think was that the one? I think this was the one. So what happened... if you saw Cast On With Me, I swatched. I did some swatches and then I just started making them just to see if I, trying out different color combos. And this was the color combo that I was like, that. Yes, that. And then I kind of, I played around. I have a couple more. These are some of the early ones that I showed in Cast On With Me. I still have some ends to trim. I originally thought that this green was going to be prominent throughout the whole sweater, but when I saw this with that limey yellow green, I was like, no, that's better. And these are all handspun, for the most part scraps, like leftovers from other projects. And I was playing with the idea of using this bright pink and this bright pink, you know, not alternatively, but like together, sort of, they're the same color because I only have a little bit of this. And I have a full skein of this bright pink. But then after I made a couple other versions of this, like I just started to change around the same colors, but I just sort of started changing around the placement, so to kind of like go in the same order, but just like moving which color was in the center. So I started to do these, and then I was like, yeah, I don't need that other pink. What I realized that I really, really love is this blue, this turquoise blue, and this bright coral together. That was really what I loved about it. And you're also seeing like a purple color here that I only had a little bit of. It was like a purple mixed with orange, like an orangey peach color. So I dug through my stash and pulled out this color. I had a rust, actually. I had a deep dark rust that was also throwing off the palette. It was just making it look too dark and autumnal, and I realized like a brighter, lighter pink or peach was gonna be better. And this does have a little bit of a gradient happening. In the yarn, I have come across some very like sort of dark beigey moments, and I've just taken those out. I ran out of the gold very fast, this gold right here. So I ended up, I found a full skein of another gold, so that this one here, this one is also a gradient. So it does have brown moments that so far I haven't reached these big fat thick brown moments, but mostly I'm pulling them out. I didn't pull it out here, so you can kind of get an idea. It's a bit brown, right? That center, it's kind of a beigey color, I suppose. So it had like some beigey moments. Oh, you can really see it here too. So you see the gold to brown. But now that I've accidentally or put those in there, and I'm like, I don't really love that. When I get to the brown parts, I'm just gonna ball it up and put it aside for something else, and just use these gold parts. But I'm 2/3 of the way through the granny squares. The Corrie Peach was actually a singles, Bien Aimee single ply skein that I plied together to make a DK weight. I didn't want to hold 2 strands because I just didn't want to keep 2 strands, you know, try to hook 2 strands. I'm already doing that a couple times. I have this. This is the one skein that is mostly giving me those shots of limey, like what's in the center here, like this, like kind of sour apple or lemony yellow, yellowy green, those moments in the squares, like that color, and like that. I am holding 2 strands though, because I learned through making some of the granny squares, that some of the experimental ones, that this is really fingering weight. It's just too thin to hold up against the other DK weights that I have. So this has been really fun. It does change, so there's a pretty wide variety. This is actually the same one right here, this one in the center, this pink one with orange and green. These are all like, and here this color, and then here in the center, those are all from this skein. So this is my one skein that really kind of swings wildly and within the colors, like as wild as it can be. My blue is a fuzzy yarn. This is yarn that I made from, I had about 20 grams, 25 grams of this turquoise blue fleece that I got in an advent countdown a couple years ago. And I totally copied Aimée of Fat Squirrel where I made a single ply with the fleece that I had on my spinning wheel, and then I plied it with leftover Surrey from actually from Lamb and Kid. This is the Birdie, I guess, her Surrey fuzz yarn. So I had a little bit left. I had a viewer generously gifted it to me, and I want to say about 2 years ago, and maybe 18 months ago, and I used it to make a hat, but I had a dab left, and so I just ended up plying what I had left with the single ply. So that, yeah, I mean, these two colors. And then, like, after I had a moment where this yarn was turning kind of pink, as you saw, and I was like, I really need more green in there, so I pulled out this leftover skein. This was pretty big before, and I ended up just incorporating it, and I really think it looks good. I have a few, it became a color, like, so I basically am making 6 colors, even though it's a 5 color granny square. I have 6 colors that I'm moving between. So that mint color is this outer color. So my intention is to have 6 squares of each of the colors. Although I've used up all of this gold, so now this gold will finish out those 2. So yeah, so right now I have 4 of each, with talking about the outer. So what happens on the inside of the squares is ever so slightly different, just for variety's sake. But the outer color, which I think is the most prominent, that's what I'm counting. So fun. It's so fun. So after I finish the 36 squares, or actually I'm going to probably do it after I'm done filming, I'm probably going to block these and start putting some together to just make sure that things are working. And currently I am counting these 2 misfits that have the bright pink, and this one with this, it's green. I am counting these in the mix, but I may end up not using them. It's just going to depend on how it goes, like how everything sort of shakes out, and you know, how things lay together, and how out of place do these look, because this is the only 2 squares that have the dark pink, and the only square that has the dark green. So I'll just see how it goes. See if I don't like it, or I like it, whatever. So yeah, it's been good. It's just been so good. So fun. I'm very anxious to see how it looks with the main color that I picked, which I don't have right here. I'm gonna go get it right now though. Also hand spun. Jethro. Oh my goodness. Here's actually one of the swatches that I made before with the dark green that just made me think, no, that dark green is too much. It's just too heavy in these other bright colors. So this is going to be the main color. Let's see the best way to show it to you. This is Fibre I spun from Kimdyesyarn. I think it might be a Polwarth blend, or it could be merino, but it's basically kind of like that twilight hour. So it's got like a lot of peachy brown tones, like beigey tones, mixed with this like red violet. So really fun, very interesting. I think that will be pretty good with, it's hard to tell because the yarn does color change a bit. I think you can see that. But yeah, so the idea is that'll be the color between. Should be good, right? I was a little worried, actually. There's one color here, that this color was going to end up being too close but I actually think it's fine. It's a little bit paler. So when I was making these squares, I was like, I don't know, is that just gonna blend right in because it's the outer color? Like, it's fine as one of the inside ones, but it might blend a bit. But it's not gonna be, it's gonna be one here, one way over there. It's not gonna be like a row of them. So I think it'll be fine. So yeah, that's the Jethro. It's been really fun to do. So if you're not familiar with the Jethro, it is a pattern that is a crochet granny square pattern that you then you attach together for your fronts and back, but your sleeves and the bottom and the trim around the neck is all knit. So I'm looking forward to getting to that point. I also am not 100% positive that the sweater, the way that she has it laid out, is going to be long enough for me. So I might need to make another, either if it's just a little off, I'll just make longer rib. But if it's significantly off, like a few inches shorter than I want, because I think she's a little shorter than I am, then I may need another row of squares across the bottom. So we'll see how it goes. I'll see how, that's another reason why I'm like, I really want to at least make a front so I can like put it on Martha and see how long it drapes down, and see if I can kind of figure out if it's long enough. So there you have it. So I'm really just working on the Traveler and the Jethro right now. As I said, I'll probably be casting on some socks that I will be gifting. I like to gift knit early in the year, so it's this year especially. Like last year, I really didn't do such a great job planning because I had these, like, I kept shoving in more knit projects to gift for the holidays. So this year I'm trying to be a little more mindful of my time and be a little bit more expeditious with my time now. When I have time, instead of like holding off until the holiday season and then just being like, unhappily knitting something because I have to. So yeah, I think that's all my knitting. This is going to be a bit of a speedy episode. I have been spinning. I actually took a dive into my stash this morning, actually, because in preparation for Tour de Fleece, like to sort of look. So Tour de Fleece, if you don't know what it is, if you're not a spinner, you probably wouldn't have any idea what it is. It's a thing that's been going on for, I don't even know, like 6 or 7 years, maybe 10 years even. I'm not sure. I've been participating since I learned how to spin in 2018, 2019. One of those. And I didn't participate the first year. You may know this story already. I learned how to knit, or I learned how to spin on Green Goat Ranch, which isn't that far from me. It's in Red Bank, New Jersey. It's Sarah of Green Goat Ranch. She's a Fibre producer. She has mohair goats. And she did a farm day. This was pre-pandemic. So she did an open farm day where that she was also offering spinning classes. So Alex of Alex Creates, if you know him, he has a pretty decent Instagram presence. He was teaching classes, and I don't know if you know his story, but he's been the grand prize winner of many spinning competitions at Rhinebeck for many, many years, like the fastest spinner, and I forget some of the other titles that he's held, but he's like, and he's young, he's like not even 30. And I think he got his first award when he was maybe 20 or in his early 20s or so. Like, so he's been like, he was just this protege, this like spinning protege. So I was very interested in learning how to spin from him. So I took a drop spindle class with him and learned and bought the spinning wheel within the next week. And then just took it from there, like really just learned from watching YouTube and stuff like that. So I participated in Tour de Fleece for the first time, I want to say, in, I actually think I learned in 2018, and then 2019 might have been my first Tour de Fleece. And I've always joined Sarah's team. Sarah's is Team Mohair for the Dame, because she partners with Wool for the Dame. I can't remember. Christina, I think her name is, the woman who owns that business. So in what we do for Tour de Fleece, we spin yarn. I mean, there are teams do all different things. I'm sure you're seeing other, like I know Flannel and Pearl has been talking about it. Other people that are spinners and knitters have been talking about it. But generally what you do is you spin every day. You set yourself some goals and you spin every day. And there are some teams that are very competitive with each other and with other teams, and then there are other teams that are more chill and you're just kind of, you're vibing, you know, whatever, and just doing whatever you want. It's just sort of like for encouragement. And so Sarah's team is all about just good feelings and feeling good about what you can do and not feeling guilty when you can't. They ask that you set a goal. And then there's prizes. So Sarah gives very generous prizes. I probably shouldn't say this, because if you are a spinner and you join, it means less chance that I'll win, but that's okay. More the merrier. I know the first few years that I joined her team, it was very small. And I think it was last year or the year before that it really just exploded. Like, now the team is massive. Like, I want to say in the hundreds, but she would know. Or pretty close to 100 people or so. And it was like small, like 10 or 15 of us. And yeah, so I'll be talking about that. That starts at the end of June. It starts the same day as Tour de France. A lot of people will spin, like, you know, treadle, spin their yarns while the cyclists are riding. So they'll watch the competition, the cycling competition, and be spinning. So for a lot of people, that's the vibe that they're interested in. I don't try to do that. I instead just set myself a goal, and I think this year I'm gonna just set myself the goal of spinning every day except for rest days, and I'm gonna take my rest days, I think, when the Tour de France is on their rest days. And I have like some fiber. I just wanted to go through my fiber and figure out what it is I wanted to spin. So I'll be talking more about that when it happens in 3 weeks. So you can expect to see a lot more spinning, and I do try to post more on Instagram. I know, like, I'm not a great poster on Instagram. Like, I think the last thing I posted was probably the last, like, no, I posted the Jethro, but it was for Cast On With Me. So that's usually when I post. Like, I'm not an avid Instagram poster. I just don't find joy in it. It's rather tedious. I love to look at other people's posts, but I don't like to post so much myself. I'm just, I don't know. It's not the same. It used to be so good, and now it's just not the same. I don't know why. It's just, I think the way that they changed the algorithm, and it's just not as joyful as it used to be. Like, I used to love it so much, and I loved posting my knits, and now I feel like no one sees me or sees my things. Anyway, I've been like teasing and holding this. Here is some yarn that I recently spun to just like get going again with spinning, because I haven't spun in a while. This is a beautiful like pastel rainbow. I'll put a picture here of what the fleece looked like. I think I have some unspun fleece. It was actually from the other skein. I do have 2 skeins. This one is still damp because I finished it last night and soaked it this morning. This one is it looks more blue-green from afar than this one does. But I think what's happening with this one, and I could see it on the fleece, is that the oranges, these coral colors, and the yellows are not as bright as they are on this one. So the skeins are slightly different. I ended up doing a 3-ply fractal spin, which means when you do a fractal spin, it's 3 plies, so that means there's 3 strands. So one strand was just end to end, the way that the roving looked. Did I say it was from Kimdyesyarn? She's one of my favorite dyers, indie dyers. So I go to her for most of my fleece, or a lot of my fleece. I go to her, I go to Sarah of Green Goat Ranch. And then if I'm at a farm yarn show or like a fiber show, I might pick up some fleece there. I also really like Loop Studio, her bullseye bats. So I've talked about those. I talked about those most recently. I bought some at Rhinebeck. So those are in my queue to spin. And I also just random other people, you know, that whose fiber I've come across that I've really liked. I like Inglenook fiber quite a lot. And actually I'm spinning from Inglenook. I'm spinning what I'm planning to spin for Tour de Fleece is a sweater's quantity from Inglenook, and then a bunch of mini skeins from Sarah of Green Goat Ranch that I got as my advent from this year. So cool. But anyway, yeah, 3-ply. It's a 3-ply. I don't know if you can see. I also really tried to ply a little tighter because I tend to be a little bit of a loose plier. So I really worked hard on my plying in both of these skeins, and I think it looks really fabulous. I'm really happy with the results. So I just have to not feed the yarn in to the bobbin as quickly as I tend to. So I just have to be more mindful of how I'm feeding the yarn into the bobbin. So anyway, fractal. One bobbin is end to end. The second bobbin, you're taking the roving and you're splitting it. So then you're going end to end, but it's all on one bobbin. And then the third bobbin is even broken down even more. I ended up doing 1, 2, 3. I think the general rule of thumb is that you do 2 to 1 and then 2 to 1 again. So I should have done 1, 2, 4, if that makes sense. But as I was pulling apart the braid, it just was getting really thin, so I just left it at 3. So I just figured that would work. But it's gorgeous. My granddaughter was here, as I said, and I made this on a day when I had started it before they got here, and then they were staying with me, and then they left to go to Maine for a couple days, and so I finished it while she was in Maine. She'd seen it on the spinning wheel, and I showed it to her, and I said, "What do you think? Do you want a sweater out of that?" And she was like, "Yeah." So this is destined for a sweater for Julie, and I'll see if I need to use any of this. I'm not quite sure what I'll do. Maybe if I do sleeves in this. I think I want to make her a hoodie, because if you've been around a while, you'll know that I've made her 2 rainbow hoodies, and this will self-stripe a bit. So there will be moments where I'm getting some self-striping colors in there. That'll be solid. So if you've been around, you know that I made some self-striping rainbows that were bright colors, and it's her favorite sweater. So I made her one when she was like a 1-year-old, and then she outgrew it. Like, I made it a little big, and she outgrew it when she was 2. So I made her another one that she's been wearing. She's 3.5. And it still fits her fine, but I figured I would make this one the next size up. So like a size, for like a 4 to 5 or 6-year-old. Depending on how fast she grows and stuff. So little kids tend to grow up at that point in time without getting too much wider. So as long as she, if I make it long enough, it'll shrink up and eventually be a crop sweater for her. So yeah, that's what that's gonna be. I said to her that I would try to knit it before I see her again, which I'll see her in August. So that might be a cast on that comes along pretty soon. We'll see what happens. We'll see how my other knits go, and if I don't get it done by August, I do want to have it done for her birthday, which is October. All right, I think that's all I have for you on this very warm day here in New Jersey, and I will see you again soon. I don't know how soon, like hopefully in 2 or 3 weeks, or if I do have a new cast on that I'm itching to do. You may see me in a new Cast On With Me episode. We'll see what happens. But anyway, thanks so much for being here with me. Thanks for hanging out, and like, subscribe, comment. I love reading your comments. I really enjoy like hearing what you think, what you're working on, you know, what I said that maybe sparked an idea or thought from you. I love it all. So I look forward to reading your comments, and I will see you again real soon. Bye.